Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today, we are going to discuss Chapter 43 of Kaiju number 8, and I am so thrilled and excited! Okay. I've just been doing my happy my theory was confirmed fan dance, but this is the no spoilers version, so I will not tell you which of my many theories has been fully confirmed by this chapter. But, anyway... there won't be any spoilers in this, but just in case you don't want to hear anything about Chapter 43, I'm giving you a chance to click away. Go check out the links below the video for a copy of Humans Are Weird. I Have the Data, a book of human absurdity. And alright, so if you're back, we're going to discuss Chapter 43 of Kaiju number 8. This was a very satisfying chapter. We learn a lot in this chapter. There's still a bunch of mysteries, but this chapter was just so satisfying. It doesn't wrap up anything, but it scratches some itches that have been itching for a long time. Now, there is one weird thing about the beginning of this chapter. This chapter starts off, I don't know if it's rehashing what happened in Chapter 42, if there's a little time jump where we jump back to just before the final panels of Chapter 42 and show you what happened going forward in more detail, because that makes the story flow smoother, or if something happened between those two panels, or if there's a couple different theories, but it does look like there's a little bit of a time jump in here where it just went back 5 or 10 seconds before Chapter 42 ended, but that was very interesting. So I've gone on and on again about Matsumoto's use of Chekhov's guns and how he hides Chekhov's guns between common shonen plot tropes. Going back again, it's got, as Grimsaber says, it's one of my favorite little obsessions with the nipple pee scene at the very beginning of the series. That was a very silly body horror scene, and the kind of thing that the kind of silly low-grade humor that you common get in a shonen manga. And we watched it, and then we went on. It fit in the story, it didn't stick out, but it didn't stick out until you started thinking about it and really analyzing exactly how much time Matsumoto devoted to it. And then we waited 30 chapters before the payoff of that, when we discovered that certain kaiju vent steam when they transform and grow larger. And so Matsumoto took that Chekhov's gun of the kaiju bodies needing to expel steam, and he hid it behind the common plot trope of young toilet humor that makes, the target audience of Shonen Jump, small little boy-minded people like myself, laugh and giggle. So, this is kind of in this chapter we have an example of the side of that, which would be exemplified by Kaiju number 10 venting those massive amounts of steam in the training in the training area during the attack on Tachikawa base. That was a very satisfying, if you had theorized that these creatures needed to vent steam to cool off, that would have been the moment where, yes, these creatures need to vent steam to cool off. And so a massive, spectacular revelation with all of the main characters commenting on it. You have another moment like that in this chapter, but like the previous ones, it's so well woven into the story that it doesn't pull you out of the story. And again, the backgrounds are beautiful, although we honestly get fewer detailed backgrounds than usual because we're zoomed in and we're focusing on a lot of detail. And again, there's a lot of plot threads and story threads are coming to a head in here. We wondered what would be the result of Kaiju number 9 molting, and we figured he'd be more powerful somehow. That comes into play. And like I said, just a lot of questions get answered in this chapter. None of them are the really big questions that the series has presented so far. These were just more minor character development and world building questions. So we still haven't seen any of the big questions get answered. but we've got a lot of the smaller questions get answered. And the artwork in this chapter, like I said, we're kind of short on backgrounds. A lot of the black backgrounds are blurry or more metaphorical, more representative. But there's just this one page that I've got to talk about. You have a main character, one of the villain kaiju, and it's standing there in this oh man, this artwork is just glorious. This is a stained glass window from one of the cathedrals, and yet it's not. It's nasty kaiju evil flesh, but it's presented in the same way that the saints of old are presented in the European stained glass cathedrals. I don't know if there is a similar visual tradition of representation of ancient heroic figures in Japanese art, but I'm just looking at this panel and you have this contrast of disgusting flesh and the threat of an enemy, but it's being presented in the same way as one of these stained glass windows where you would have Saint so-and-so who defeated the monster in the legend of some little town in Italy. And you don't even notice it the first 3 times you read it, but on going back and analyzing it, this is a deliberate use of a globally recognized iconography to create this sense of ominous foreboding, like there is something evil in the place where there should have been something good, or perhaps this is looking at how it's one of those things where it makes you take a step back and think that maybe this is how the enemy sees themselves, and maybe in the enemy's perspective, you're the villain, which almost certainly is the case, because that's just how these things work, but just a beautiful physical representation. And there's a lot of exposition in this chapter, but it's done perfectly natural. This is a military situation. You've got the people on the ground reacting to what's going on. You've got the people back in the command center discussing what's going on. And again, one of my theories was correct. And you just get these satisfying moments where 3 threads that have been woven through the initial stories in chapter 4 and chapter 6 and chapter 21, and it's all coming to a head right now. You don't know if it's going to be 100% resolved, but this is fantastic. This is just, I'm really enjoying Kaiju number 9. This Kaiju number 8. The science is solid, the writing is good, the art is fantastic, and oh man, it's at this point, I'm not the hugest anime fan. Not that I don't like the stories. I love the stories. I read the manga a lot. But to me, the manga it's enough. I get so much out of the manga that I don't feel the need to see it animated. And with this story, this manga is so good. I do not see, other than for a few fight scenes that would be really, really sick animated, I just don't see how this manga could be made better by anime. So it's not that I'm not looking forward. Well, yeah, it is. I'm not exactly hungry for the anime, because I just don't see what more an anime could offer. Of course, they're going to do the anime. They're going to make money off of it. People are going to enjoy the anime. Not everybody likes reading the manga as much as I do, but I don't feel that I need the anime. The manga's just that good. And I can only imagine the anime being vaguely disappointing. The artwork, the expressions, the minimalism. And again, just that one panel, this glorious forced conjoining of that cathedral stained glass window look with the nasty, dirty representation. And maybe it's not just cathedral windows. I'm getting vibes of who is it? The goddess, goddess of love, mother of Eros. Who was she? Anyway, Venus rising from the ocean. Venus born from the various dismembered body parts of her father rising from the ocean. The famous one being the Venus de Milo. And yet it's not that. But this definitely is giving me classic artwork vibes. Anyway, I have been rambling pointlessly for 10 minutes now. This was a fantastic chapter. It was so satisfying. So satisfying that it almost doesn't feel like a cliffhanger, because it is technically a cliffhanger. Yes, it is. But it didn't feel like a cliffhanger because number one, my theory was confirmed, but the tying up that missing thread that I won't mention, it just feels so satisfying. So no matter what happens next, no matter who kills who or what happens, this was just a very satisfying story arc. But then there's the weird thing. If you look at the end of the chapter where it says when the next chapter will be announced, it's saying to be continued. So all it says in the manga is to be continued on the printed page, as it were. But when you scroll out and go back to the full chapter list, it says next new chapter coming in 6 days. I don't know if that's an announcement, but I'd love it to be some artwork pages. I'd love to start getting the artwork in between the chapters again. Or is Kaiju number 8 shifting back to a 3-on-1-off schedule, or is it going full weekly? I don't know. I don't want to do anything that would compromise the quality of the story, and right now it's working. But something will happen in 6 days. I'll probably end up discussing that with Dan Exclaims when we talk on the 8th. Or rather, 9th. Yeah, we're talking on the 9th. Okay, so Dan Exclaims and I will be able to discuss this and tell you about whatever happened. But anyway, great chapter 43. Great chapter. Check out the links below the video. Humans Are Weird. I have the data, Book of Human Absurdity. Now, this video is releasing at the beginning of September 2021. For all of October 2021, I'll be running an Indiegogo for the next book in my series, Humans Are Weird. We took a vote. Very soon, I will have the link for pre-orders up. But just know that in 1 month, you'll have a chance to buy an author-signed copy of Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote. Now, as soon as the October Indiegogo is over, these will be up on all the usual suspect Amazon's, Barnes & Noble, Kobo. They'll be up on those very soon after the Indiegogo. But if you purchase the Indiegogo, you're going to get pretty much between $50 and $100 value. You'll be getting the print book, of course, author signed, printed at our local Maverick printing company. You'll get 4 versions of the ebooks without any of the annoying restrictions that you get when you get a Kindle or a Nook ebook. And you will be, when it is done, you will get the full audio narration read by me, the author. So think of that quality as what it is. But you will be getting all 3 versions, physical, electronic, and audiobook, and you'll be getting all 4 options for the electronic book if you purchase the Indiegogo, which will be starting in October 2021. After that, they'll be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, and Google Books. So, peace out, my wonderful viewers.
The book from author Betty Adams, Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, is a humorous look at human behavior through the eyes of aliens. This book is arranged in separate reports or essays, documenting the experiences with humanity through the lens of the aliens who have to interact with them. This anthology of short stories and vignettes from alien points of view highlights some of humanity's quirks we can all relate to. Author Betty Adams captures how strange and interesting humans can really be. This is a fun collection of stories you will really get a kick out of. Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, from author Betty Adams. Order your copy right now on Amazon.